Are we live? Are we live? Chat, are we live? Wow. What a day it has been for New York Giants fans throughout the nation. What a day. The John Harbaugh saga comes to a close without it being official, but it really being official. The New York Giants will be hiring ex Ravens head coach John Harbaugh as their new head coach, the 23rd Giants head coach in franchise history. So many emotions, right? So many emotions here. Let's start off the bat. John Harbaugh, he brings stability. He brings a culture, a winning culture. He brings accountability. I mean, there's so many things that John Harbaugh brings to the New York Giants that they've simply lacked since, let's be honest, the last time they won a Super Bowl. And how could you not be excited about this hire? I mean, if you follow us on Twitter, which if you have not already, follow us on Twitter. It's under the Giant Topic. The link will be in the description box below. This was a hire that, in my opinion, prior to us hiring John Harbaugh, I wasn't the biggest fan. I'll be honest. I had my preferences, but I never once thought that this was going to be a terrible hire for the New York Giants. I thought that this would be a potentially franchise changing hire for the New York Giants. Again, he sets culture. He's going to hire the right staff. He's going to be able to manage personalities. He's going to be able to keep this building, this front office, the players on this roster aligned. So there's a lot to be excited about. Now, let's get into the first comment here. We got it from Ryan's Big Blue Podcast. Yes, sir. Appreciate you stopping by, Ryan. We're going to be having, we'll announce it tomorrow, but we're going to be having some content with Ryan over at Ryan's Big Blue Podcast. It's going to be an extension of this show, as well as his show as well. So definitely go subscribe to them as well. But just a very exciting hire. This is a hire that brings you all in, right? I am all in on this New York Giants franchise. And how could you not be, right? This is a hire for a franchise and for a fan base that has been so divided in recent years due to all the losing that we've experienced, right? This is a hire that can unite this fan base. This is a hire that can bring those that are negative and those are, you could argue, probably too optimistic together and say, we have the guy, we have the right head coach in place, we have the coach that's going to steer this New York Giants franchise in the right direction. Now, again, one of my biggest critiques about John Harbaugh is I don't think that he provides a schematic advantage, right? I don't think he's going to come in and design an offense, which it's fine. For me, though, I will say, I will give John credit in regards to this, where he's able to hire the right guys to tailor his offense to best support his cast, right? To best support his franchise quarterbacks. And one thing that I genuinely do admire about John Harbaugh is his adaptability, right? His ability to adapt in today's NFL is truly remarkable. Let's be honest here. It is truly remarkable. When you see what he's been able to do with Joe Flacco, whether it was in his prime or on his decline, and then transitioning to Lamar Jackson, and you have Greg Roman as your offensive coordinator. The league catches on. They fire Greg Roman. They bring in Todd Monken. Little bit of a different offense, right? It's a little bit more pass centric while still relying on the run game. Lamar Jackson wins an MVP. So his adaptability is something that I truly do admire as a Giants fan. And having that in the Giants building, I think will be monumental. Now, one thing that does get me excited, which we spoke about with Ryan over at Ryan's Big Blue Podcast just a couple minutes ago on his live stream, which I highly recommend. Go check it out. We really dissected this hire and it was a great show. But one thing that I get really excited about is how many times, Giants fans, have we seen, whether it comes to draft, let's stick with the draft, right? When it comes to the draft, and we're seeing a talented player, whether it's a top 10 player, a top 15 player, fall. And they're falling right into Baltimore's lap. And we're sitting here saying, of course, the Baltimore Ravens were able to get so and so. Only the Baltimore Ravens. Whether you want to put Kyle Hamilton in that conversation, whether you want to go and put guys like Tyler Linderbaum in that conversation, they're able to find guys and get the most out of these players, right? And I get excited thinking about how they're able to find players in later rounds. They're able to find players, whether it's undrafted free agents, or excuse me, undrafted rookies, or players on the free agent market that necessarily other teams wouldn't necessarily look at. They're able to find quality pieces and add them as whether it's depth or whether it's starters, and that's something that I really do admire about Harbaugh. And I think that that's going to help the Giants a lot. I think that this Giants team, especially with Joe Shane, who we're going to talk about in just a few minutes, but this Giants team in recent years has struggled finding depth or finding quality talent in later rounds. Now, Joe Shane has hit on a few later round picks. I'll give him some credit there, but he's also missed quite a bit as well. And I do believe that with the hire of John Harbaugh, he is going to get the most say when it comes down to him and Joe Shane. So if he is sold on a guy that he believes, can be a franchise piece, can be a nice depth piece, or potentially even a starter on this team, if Joe Shane isn't necessarily for it, I do think that ownership is going to lean in that direction of John Harbaugh and say, we're going to go with what John thinks. I think Joe Shane is lucky to have a job. We can all agree, Rick. So for me personally, I have had my hesitations with John Harbaugh, whether it's been blown leads in the fourth quarter, whether it's been questionable, decisions in later halves of games, especially in the postseason, whether it's not, sticking true to his roots in certain games. Again, highlighting the postseason. I do have my hesitations, but I think that those are good hesitations to have, right? A lot of the hesitations I have really come in the postseason, which those are good problems to have. The Giants, we have not been to the postseason outside of obviously, with Brian Dable and Joe Shane's first year being with the New York Giants. We haven't been to the playoffs and won a playoff game in quite some time. And adding a guy like John Harbaugh, we know that week in and week out, this team is going to fight. They're going to compete. They're going to be on their P's and Q's. They're going to play tough. They're going to play with tenacity, and they're going to be ready and prepared, right? We wanted to see, not just the fan base, but players as well. We wanted to see someone come into this organization and provide leadership, provide accountability. We heard guys like Darius Slayton saying, we want someone like Tom Coughlin, someone that could come in and hold us accountable. And that's exactly what John Harbaugh is going to do. Again, he's going to keep this building aligned. He's going to keep these players aligned. And, hiring someone that brings this level of stability is something that this franchise has lacked for so long, but has needed even longer. So I personally, I have no issues with this hire whatsoever. I'm very intrigued to see who does he bring in on his staff. I have full confidence that whoever he brings, for the most part, they're going to be quality coordinators. I think that with you being in the league for 18 years, that net is going to be very wide. It's going to be very vast. And I do think that, whether it's Todd Monken, who hopefully, if he is able to bring him in, which I think that's most likely going to be the case, they can tailor an offense around Jackson Dart. I think that's going to be key. I get very excited thinking about who they're going to bring in as a defensive coordinator because, look, I know a lot of guys are down on Tyler Nubin, Bobby Okereke. Some people are down on Dexter Lawrence. Me personally, I look at those guys and I say to myself, he's going to get the most out of them. I'm excited to see how Tyler Newman looks under John Harbaugh and, his coaching staff. I'm excited for guys like Dexter Lawrence, Bobby Okereke, who a lot of people consider to be a cut candidate, but I think it makes a lot of sense actually keeping Bobby Okereke, if we're being honest. I look at guys like Theo Johnson and seeing the success that John Harbaugh has had at the tight end position, whether it's with Mark Andrews, whether it's with free agent now free agent at least, Isaiah Likely. Does he come to the Giants, right? That would be crazy. So I get excited for certain players on this roster, knowing that John Harbaugh has a history of getting the most out of those players at those positions. So I think that this is a very exciting hire. This is a hire that, again, can really reel you in a hire that you can get behind. I think this brings instant respectability to this New York Giants franchise. A lot of teams are going to prepare differently. Obviously, they're going to prepare differently with Jackson Dart and the pieces on this defense and Malik Neighbors coming back from injury. And we'll see what they do in free agency in the draft. But having a guy like John Harbaugh that's going to bring that instant respectability, they know that they're going to have to bring their A game. And I get very excited thinking about how is this team going to look against their rivals when it really matters. How are they going to look against the Dallas Cowboys? How are they going to look against the Philadelphia Eagles? How are they going to look against Dan Quinn and the Washington Commanders? I mean, these are real valid questions, but they get me excited because I've seen so many games where the Baltimore Ravens are having tough fought games with whether it's the Ravens, whether it's the Steelers, whether it's the Browns, just to name a few, right? Just sticking with rivalries. And I say to myself, if we could get some of that over here with the New York Giants, I think we'll be good. I really do think so. And again, you look at the pieces that the Giants have on this roster on both sides of the ball, there are foundational pieces on this team. Obviously, Jackson Dart, Cam Scatterbo, Andrew Thomas, Malik Neighbors, going to the defensive side, Brian Burns, Abdul Carter. We'll see what they do with Kayvon, Dexter Lawrence, Tyler Nubin. If they bring back Cordell Fly, we'll see, right? But there are foundational pieces on this team that if you get the most out of them, who knows where this franchise can really go. Now, I do think that we are going to see an influx of players that have either come from Baltimore or have played with John Harbaugh at certain points in their career. And I do think that we are going to see a lot of guys coming in from those roots to really help establish a culture that John Harbaugh is going to want to establish. I get excited with some of the players that we probably haven't done much work on. I haven't really heard of too much, but John Harbaugh is going to bring him in because he believes in them. He believes in them. And I have full confidence in John Harbaugh right now. So this is a very exciting hire. This is a very exciting time for New York Giants fans, right? After going through two horrendous seasons, picking in the top five again, back-to-back seasons, right? Dealing with, obviously, John Mara fighting cancer, dealing with a circus going on with firing Dable, elevating Kafka, firing Shane Bowen, firing different positional coaches, and to now have someone that's going to bring stability and that's going to be able to manage this staff and bring this team hopefully to another Lombardi gets me very excited. And I think it gets you, if you're a Giants fan, very excited as well. But let us know your thoughts below. How are you guys feeling about this hire? What are some of the things that you're excited to see? What are some of the things that you're excited, to see, whether it's on the field or in this front office going forward? I think there's a lot to be excited about. Let us know your thoughts below. I think it's a great time. This is a great time to be a Giants fan, especially knowing that we have our guy at the quarterback position and now we have our head coach. So you have two of the hardest positions, or excuse me, two of the hardest pieces when it comes to the game of football locked in for quite some time. And we hope that it results in wins. We hope that it results in, a Lombardi being brought back, to 1925 Giants drive. But we'll see. But for now, this is very exciting, especially considering the day that we had. Shout out Doug Analytics, dropping consistent updates on Steve Tish's plane, and we're seeing all these different updates from Ian O'Connor, he's been on the ball when it comes with John Harbaugh, or whether it's Anthony Betts, or whether it's Ricky. Right? So many different people coming out of the woodworks with different pieces of information that it's just riling up this fan base, and it was just a matter of time. And lo and behold, we get our answer at the late night that John Harbaugh is officially the head coach of the New York Giants. We can get excited about it. We can sleep knowing that this franchise is headed in the right direction. They made a move. At the end of the day, this is a respectable franchise. This is the New York Football Giants. Regardless of their record, people, franchises, they respect this organization. So very excited. Let us know your thoughts below. Let us know how you're feeling. Again, you can find us on all social media platforms under The Giant Topic. We know we've been away for a little bit, but best believe we're going to be pumping out content a lot. And again, tomorrow we will be making an announcement about a segment that we're going to be doing with Ryan from Ryan's Big Blue Podcast. So definitely stick around for that. But until then, we'll see you guys on the next episode, and go Giants.